Hello folks, today we're going to go ahead and install the crankshaft into the left crankcase half of the little Yamaha YL1 100. This is also the first time I will have used the overhead camera arm for my video camera. For those of you that follow me, you probably saw one of the previous videos where I described the articulated camera arm, which we are now using. This will be the first time I've used the camera arm, so this will be a little bit of a learning experience for me, and I have every reason to believe it'll work fine. So anyway, let's get on with the project. The gist of this, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to lubricate the end of the crankshaft with light oil. I'm going to heat the bearing here. I'm going to heat that boss as hot as I can get it to try to get it to expand. I have to coat these rubber seals right here on the left side with engine sealant, which I have warming right now in the oven just to soften a little bit. And this filler block, this is what Yamaha calls a filler block, gets installed in this middle piece, and ultimately, if everything goes according to plan, it'll fit something like that when it's done. This block has to be installed though before I attempt to pull the crankshaft over using that tool that I made a few videos ago, which will mount on the left end like this, and threads into the end of the crankshaft here. That's the gist of it. So the first thing I'm going to do next is install the block, this filler block. Everything's been blown off and it's very clean. I've wiped everything out, so we're good to go there. I'll install the filler block in the middle piece here. It is keyed. You can see there's a pin right there that lines up with that hole where my left index finger is pointing to. Then I will coat this rubber seal all the way around. You can see it goes all the way around the center bearing retainer block, and then oil this up, begin to slide the crank in, heat the bearing, and see if we can't pull it in. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is install the filler block. Make sure it's down all the way. It's keyed, like I said, so it can only go one way. And you notice these rubber seals fit into the grooves that were designed for that purpose. The next step will be to apply the gasket sealant. I use liquid gasket 1104. I think that part number's changed. I've had this for a while. I warm this in the oven just a little bit to soften it. And I'll apply it around this gasket right here all the way, all 360 degrees. Notice I'm using a paintbrush. This material is very stringy. This material really doesn't dry in the classic sense. Just give a nice even coating. You don't want to overdo it. And I'm going to go all the way around. I won't show all of this because it's very repetitive, but the process is the same all the way around. There, you can see the sealant all the way around. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little light oil on the end of this shaft, just a little bit here. I just used 3-in-1 for this, by the way. I want a light machine oil. Now I'll go ahead and heat this bearing right here, hot as I can get it, and then see about putting this together. Okay, I got that bearing pretty hot. Now it's going to be a little tricky. Got to play this just right because I don't want to affect or contaminate the sealant that I've already put on this block, so I've got to be careful how I handle it. So I think what I'm going to do see if I can't figure out a way to do this. Okay, I've got everything pretty much lined up, as you can see there. I've got to keep this connecting rod obviously in a vertical position, and then the filler block where my right index finger is, I can rotate as I go. So we're generally in the right spot here. Now I'll mount the puller, threads into the end, the crankshaft like that. Make sure that's good and tight. Snug up the nut. Those black marks are just to maintain alignment of this metal plate to the plastic PVC fitting. So now I've got the puller mounted, threaded in tight. Now I'm going to have to watch to keep everything aligned. And now I'll simply tighten this nut, that's my theory, and pull that crankshaft in. So let's see if maybe I can get this up a little bit so you can get a better look at what's going on while I'm doing this. I'm going to hold it with my body. So far, so good. Again, I got to make sure the connecting rod is in the middle and not binding up against the case. And I have to watch this block here. Make sure that fits perfectly as well at the same time. You can see here the connecting rod wants to turn on me a little bit. I know I'm blocking your view a little bit here, but it's unavoidable right now. I'm going to tap that with a rubber mallet just to make sure it stays down. I don't want it creeping up on me. I think it's okay, but just want to make sure. I think that's it right there. Connecting rod looks like it's centered here. The block seems to be down. Just make sure here that this is snug. It's pretty tight. There. There we are. All right, so now we'll just back this nut off so we can remove the puller. See if we can get you a better shot of that. There we are. Smooth, no binding. That's where the puller threaded into right there. You can see the threads. That's that number 7 I think I talked about. M7 in a previous video. Okay. I think we got that done. You can see a little bit of the sealer, which is perfectly fine. That does not hurt a thing. Okay. And then the next step will be to install the transmission here. Bearings are in, of course, but the transmission shift drum and the transmissional mount here, which will be the subject of the next video that I do. So all in all, I would consider this a success. Used the Skycam and my puller. In fact, it's not even damaged or anything. Didn't crack. Worked fine. Also, quite pleased with the way that turned out. And we'll move on to the next step. As usual, thanks for watching.